Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome. Freshman class. Boy, been doing this a few years. It's good to see you. This is a big class. It's a little scary. Anyway, my name is Ted Clancy. We're going to keep going with some music. I have to introduce you to a couple of the guys. On tenor saxophone back here, we have a recent Willie Pat graduate, Jacob Mandrix. Let's hear it. Thank you. And on trumpet, another Willie Pat grad, Freddie Hendricks. Forgot his name there for a second. And on drums, we have the wonderful vaccinated with a phonograph needle, Jay Didymo. He doesn't have his bat drums today, but these will do. We need it to be tight. He has a bat set. And on bass, last but not least, we have Mr. Paul Adamy. And thank you. We're just going to continue and play a little more wallpaper music for you while everybody gets seated and we get ready to proceed with the festivities. And this next one is a ballad that I wrote some years ago. It's called Diane.
Shea Center for Performing Arts. Before we start today's program, we'd like to draw your attention to the following regulations. There is no smoking, eating, or drinking permitted in the auditorium. Smoking is not permitted in the lobby, vestibule, or restrooms. The use of cameras, video cameras, or recording devices is strictly prohibited without special permission from the university. Due to fire regulations, audience members are not permitted to sit or stand in the aisles during an event. At this time, please take a moment to locate the fire exit nearest your seat. In the event of an emergency, please proceed calmly towards this exit. Thank you for your attention, and we hope you enjoy today's program.
Please be seated. Good afternoon and welcome to our Convocation for Fall 2003, 148 years after the founding of this institution in 1855. My name is Stephen Hahn, and I'm Associate Provost and Professor of English here at the university. Convocation is an annual meeting of the faculty and administration with members of the first-year class to welcome you to the academic life here at William Paterson University. I'd like to begin today's ceremony by introducing you to members of the platform party seated behind me on the front row. Beginning at my immediate right, Arnold Spirit, President of the University, William Harvey, Vice President and Director of the Office of Minorities in Higher Education for the American Council on Education and keynote speaker, Robert Taylor, Member of the Board of Trustees, Stephen Bollier, Vice President for Administration and Finance, John Martone, Associate Vice President and Dean of Student Development, Kim Daniel Robinson, Director of the First Year Experience, Cho Kin Young, Professor of Economics and Finance and Mace Bearer, and Taji Ramin, Associate Professor of Economics and Finance and Faculty Marshal. On my immediate left, Cherno Sese, Provost and Executive Vice President, Nina Jamat, Associate Vice President and Dean of Graduate Studies and Research, Leslie Agar-Jones, Dean of the College of Education, Isabel Tirado, Dean of the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, Jess Baronico, Dean, Christos M. Katsakos College of Business, and Ophelia Garcia, Dean, College of the Arts and Communication. Eshwar Fadia, Dean of the College of Science and Health. We use this procession at two very important academic ceremonies: Convocation as you begin your studies, and Commencement as you complete your studies. The symbols involved in the ceremony harken back to ancient times to remind us of our ties to the traditions of academia. The procession is led by a senior faculty member who carries the university mace. Carrying the mace is an ancient ritual that symbolizes the president's authority to administer the university. Each college is represented by a processional banner. The colors on the banners represent the different degrees offered by that college. The faculty and administration are dressed in traditional academic caps, gowns, and hoods. The colors of the hoods by convention represent the discipline in which the person earned his or her degree, and they correspond to the colors in the processional banners. It is traditional at Convocation for the president of the university to open the
Here at William Paterson, you will have ample opportunity and encouragement to reflect upon philosophical, political, and social principles of liberty, because here we preserve and revere the freedom to question, challenge, and adopt any and all positions. You can experiment with ideas with confidence that others are interested in your thoughts and efforts. Of learning, because here you and we enjoy the fruits of the labor of a dedicated faculty. The rigorous curriculum and distinctive programs in which you will be immersed are the result of many hours of discussion and debate. The resulting curriculum emphasizes a strong footing in the arts and sciences and an equally strong exposure to the professions, which means that you will learn about all aspects of the world and about your chosen field of study and its relationship to that world. Most notable in your transition to our community is the fact that you now have available to you this group of faculty, outstanding teachers, distinguished scholars, and creative artists to guide you as you progress. They have an impact, not only campus-wide, but regionally, nationally, and internationally because of their efforts to advance knowledge. Keep in mind that the faculty are here to teach you and to work with you. Seek out those whose intellectual approaches, interests, and achievements stimulate, and enrich you. They are the core of the many interconnected learning communities which form the William Paterson University community. It is the community to which you now belong. We believe that this is the single most important community you will ever join, and we welcome you as members. When you graduate from this community of learners and teachers and scholars, you will be, in many ways, a different person, in your habits of thought, in the way you view the world, and in the manner in which you conduct your life. Each of us, individually, and all of us as a community, wish the greatest and most rewarding success to each and every one of you. Welcome.
I would now like to introduce our keynote speaker. Dr. William Harvey serves as Vice President and Director of the Office of Minorities in Higher Education at the American Council on Education in Washington, D.C. A 30-year veteran of higher education, Dr. Harvey was Dean of the School of Education, Deputy Chancellor for Education Partnerships, and Professor of Educational Policy and Community Studies at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Prior to those appointments, Dr. Harvey held faculty and administrative appointments at North Carolina State University, the State University of New York at Stony Brook, the University of Pennsylvania, Richard Stockton College, Earlham College, and Brookdale Community College. Dr. Harvey's research and scholarly activity has focused on the cultural and social factors that affect underserved populations, with particular emphasis on college and university settings. His major publications include Grassroots and Glass Ceilings, African American Administrators in Predominantly White Universities, New Directions for Community Colleges, Recruiting and Retaining Minority Faculty, and Affirmative Rhetoric, Negative Action. His articles have been widely published in noted professional journals in higher education, and he is a consulting editor for Change, the magazine for higher education, and an editorial board member for Negro Education Review. Dr. Harvey serves on the advisory boards of the Study of New Scholars Project at Harvard University, the Yale-Howard Partnership Center on Reducing Health Disparities, and Project Site Support at Johns Hopkins University. He also serves on the Board of Visitors of the School of Education at the University of Pittsburgh. Previously, he has chaired the Higher Education Committee for Equity 2000, a national initiative sponsored by the College Board to raise the level of math and science instruction in K-12 systems, and the Governmental Relations Committee of the American Association of Colleges of Teacher Education. Dr. Harvey has been a visiting associate at the Smithsonian Institution, an American Council on Education Fellow, and an Institute for Educational Leadership Fellow in Educational Policy. He has received research fellowships from the Center for Advanced Study in the Behavioral Sciences at Stanford University and the National Endowment for the Humanities. A former colleague in higher education in New Jersey, Dr. Harvey is not a stranger to William Paterson and has served as a consultant for the university. So please join us in welcoming back William Harvey to William Paterson University.
Good morning. Okay, that's better. I first want to say how much of a pleasure it is to be back with you today. I want to thank you for that warm New Jersey welcome, particularly given the weather conditions outside. And I want to thank Dr. Hahn for his very, very kind and generous introduction. You may have noticed when he was giving you some background about the various places I've been, that most of my life has been spent in the academy, and now that I'm working in Washington, I describe myself as a recovering professor. What that means is that when I get a chance to have an audience like this, I'm prone to speak for long periods of time. When I made that suggestion to Dr. Kim Daniel Robertson, who invited me here, she suggested that maybe that wasn't such a good idea after all. And so I have condensed my remarks, but actually I was going to make them short anyway because I do a fair amount of speaking on various campuses, and I had an epiphany of sorts as I was preparing some remarks for a particular campus visit about a year or so ago. I was working with my daughter, who was a college student herself, and we were engaged in something that we do fairly often together. We were working through a newspaper game called The Jumble. You familiar with it? It's a puzzle in which you decipher some words and you get a clue and you figure out the answer to a particular question. In this particular case, you get a clue that is a pictorial clue. So there was a person, much like myself, standing at a platform addressing an audience. And what we were supposed to figure out was what the prize-winning speech was about. So we unscrambled the letters and we put them together, and the answer was about 15 minutes. So with that in mind, I've decided to make sure that I try and stay as close to that as possible. But it's wonderful for me to be back in New Jersey. It always brings back a flood of memories to be here because I spent so many good years in this state. I graduated from Neptune High School way back in the 20th century, then went away to college. Somebody from Neptune out there? Then I returned to New Jersey to take my very first teaching position at Red Bank Regional High School, and then my first college teaching post at Brookdale Community College. As Dr. Hahn mentioned, I was also at Richard Stockton College. I was the co-director of the Governor's School on the Environment there, and I was one of the founding faculty members at the Governor's School on Public Issues at Monmouth University. And of course, as this scarlet robe represents, I received my doctorate from Rutgers University. So I have long and deep ties to the Garden State. But now I work in Washington, D.C. So I bring you greetings from the nation's capital, which is, of course, a very special city in many regards. One of the things that I've learned from working in Washington is the importance of both individual effort and collaboration with others. And that's the message that I want to bring to you today, because both of these techniques are important to maximize your success. I'm going to try to apply some of my observations about life in the nation's capital to what happens in your life over the next 4 years. The theme of today's convocation, a foundation for your academic success, is very meaningful because in the final analysis, it's my sense that that foundation ultimately will be based on two important considerations: your capacity to believe in yourself and your willingness to seek support from others and to reciprocate that support in kind. Whatever your plans, as I was riding up on the train this morning, it occurred to me that Washington is a city that considers itself to have more leaders than any place in the world. And this perspective is both a blessing and a curse. There are, to be sure, some outstanding leaders in the nation's capital, people with extraordinary ability and often with egos to match. But there are also an extraordinarily large number of people in Washington whose egos greatly exceed their talent. And I hope that as you develop your skills and abilities over the next 4 years, that you'll be careful to avoid that unfortunate imbalance. Some of you undoubtedly will spend time in Washington at some point in your life, advocating for a particular cause, movement, or enterprise, or perhaps even representing the interests of the citizens of your state as a congressperson or senator. Others of you will practice your chosen professions in a variety of settings, from Main Street to Wall Street, all across the state, the nation, and the world. You will be attorneys and artists, business persons and bureaucrats, realtors and reporters, soldiers and salespersons. But whatever you choose to do, whatever path that you choose to follow, what's important about the next 4 years, starting with today, is that you recognize and accept your capability to be a leader in your chosen endeavor. You may not have thought about the effects of the next 4 years in quite this way before, but I'm here today to help you realize that a college degree is what separates those who will be leaders from those who will be led. Each of you has been accepted into the class of 2007 because you've expended tremendous personal gain and personal effort and undergone individual sacrifice, and you deserve to be congratulated for that. Those of you who are the first generation students in your family should receive special affirmation, because in your case, you've gone where no man or woman from your particular household has ever gone before. You're pioneers in a bold journey, and now that you've gained access to the university, you must dedicate yourself to the ultimate goal, which is achieving success in your experiences and your involvements here. The ultimate measure of success for all of you, of course, is earning your degree. To many people, the significance of the degree is the difference that it makes in your earning power. And in that case, it's considered to be $1 million ticket. That is to say that economists have concluded that a college degree, a person who earns a college degree, stands to receive $1 million more over the course of their lifetime than a person who only has a high school diploma. However, as cliched as it may sound, a college education really is about more than just money. It's about discovering your own special talents and gifts and developing them to their fullest capacity. It's about expanding your understanding of yourself as a person and where you fit into the world. And it's about recognizing how you can make this world a better place for those who come after you. One of the key ways to achieve these lofty objectives is to maintain the belief in your capacity to succeed. Remember that your academic aptitude has already been demonstrated and established, or you wouldn't be here today as a member of the class of 2007. Still, you can expect to have your confidence challenged on more than one occasion, perhaps even as soon as you're handed back your first chemistry exam or your first history research paper. That might be the point when you come to realize that you have a support network all around you, and that it's composed of people who want you to be successful here at William Paterson University. I'm speaking of your advisors, the faculty members here, and even your fellow students, and in some cases, especially your fellow students as part of that network. A few years ago, a faculty member in the mathematics department at the University of California at Berkeley, Dr. Yuri Treisman, came to the realization that certain groups of students were not performing well on the mathematics exams. Operating on his own belief that any student who had been accepted to Berkeley had the capacity to be successful, Dr. Treisman began to explore student behavior to see if there was a difference in the way members of various groups were preparing for their examinations. What he discovered was that the students who performed poorly on the exams were most often the students who studied by themselves, and that those students who were having the most success were students who had organized themselves into study groups, which they used to help each other prepare for the exams. In those study groups, any concept that one student may not have completely mastered could be explained by one or more of the other students in the groups, and so they all benefited from that collaborative experience. And when the students who had been studying in isolation were informed of this and in fact began to form study groups themselves, their grades improved dramatically. There is an important lesson here. More and more, our leaders in Washington and across the nation and the globe, in this fast-paced and rapidly changing world, are realizing that we cannot focus only on ourselves. As we move toward realizing success and achieving our goals, we need to bring others along with us. This, too, is something that I hope you'll remember as you prepare yourself for the leadership position that you will inevitably occupy. I want to close my remarks by asking you to look at the person to your left. Go ahead, do that. And now look at the person on your right. In a classic movie called The Paper Chase, which is about first-year students at Harvard Law School, John Houseman, who plays the law school dean, meets with the students in an auditorium on their first day on campus. He tells them to look to your left, then look to your right. One of the people you just glanced at won't be here next year. He was, of course, making reference to the rate at which students flunk out of that institution. But it doesn't have to be that way. and we don't want it to be that way. We need you to be successful, all of you, not just some of you. I hope that as you pursue your own personal paper chase, which is academic slang for the quest for a diploma, that when it concludes 4 years from now, both the person on your left and the person on your right will be by your side as you receive your degree. Develop your foundation of academic success as a platform to benefit yourself and others. Please remember that our future depends on you, but we're confident that you will rise to the challenge. Thank you.
We will now stand for the singing of William Paterson's alma mater, which is printed in your program. Leading the alma mater is Professor Cynthia Northington of the Department of Secondary and Middle School Education. Please stand for the alma mater and remain standing for the Freshman Challenge.
Some burst like blossoms, a new school grows like fire, and students rise with visions, and visions won't expire. Constant in our courage, we sing in unison. Our dream has sprung where we've begun at William Paterson. Whoa, the earth is our great teacher in wilderness and grace. It tells us to build gardens with kindness on our face. The future is that garden we're planting in the sun, and all our seeds will wake up flowers at William Paterson. Welcome.
Thank you. A William Paterson tradition is to welcome you into the academic community by posing to you the Freshman Challenge. Presenting the challenge is Kim Daniel Robinson, Director of the First Year Experience. You will find the challenge printed on the inside cover of your program. Please welcome Dr. Daniel Robinson to the podium.
Good afternoon, and congratulations to all first-year students. This is a very exciting time in your life. Today is the first day of your journey into higher education. Depending on the challenges you face and the choices you make, you can succeed here at William Paterson University. Your orientation and registration process, today's freshman convocation, freshman seminar, and your first year experience are all designed to provide you with a strong foundation for your academic success. As you begin this challenge, as you begin this journey, we challenge you to become a member of our academic community, to do your best as a student, scholar, and participant in our academic life, to know yourself and take responsibility for your learning, to find ways and means to celebrate diversity while building unity. And we challenge you to join us in the teaching and learning process. First-year students, if you accept this challenge, Please respond by saying, "I accept this challenge." Thank you.
On behalf of the faculty and administration, I congratulate you on accepting the Freshman Challenge and welcome you to the academic community at William Paterson University. We will conclude the convocation exercises with the procession of faculty and administration from the auditorium. Please remain standing until all the faculty have passed out of the auditorium.